Rasnazati binti Jamal, and I'm going to present about the monopolistic competition. Market structure could be defined as the degree and nature of competition of goods and services in the market. There are four types of market structure, namely perfect competition, monopolistic competition, oligopoly, and monopoly. Thus, in this presentation, only monopolistic competition and oligopoly are going to be discussed based on the chosen firms in each market structure. The impact of COVID-19 pandemic to both of the market structure also will be highlighted in this presentation. The first market structure is monopolistic competition, which refers to a market structure with a lot of firms producing similar products and services, yet not the perfect substitution. Bonia Corporation Berhad is one of the firms that included in monopolistic competition, as they own their own brand and their own uniqueness despite being in a huge fashion industry. Bonia has already owned about 700 branches and 70 boutiques around Asia. Bonia has been established since 1974, making this company 48 years old this year. This company originally founded by Chiang Sang-sem, or better known as Mr. S.S. Chiang. SWOT analysis was performed at the organizational level in order to understand how far they are from the targets and success that the organization aimed to achieve. Bonia possessed three strengths. Firstly, Bonia owned its own branches and boutiques all over the world, that Bonia could create a design that's suitable for the targeted customer in that particular country. Secondly, unique company establishment, as its history background was unique compared to other popular brands, as it has dramatic journey of establishment. Thirdly, Bonia owned a lot of investors, that Bonia will always have financial resources to ensure the stability of the model rotation. The weakness of Bonia Corporation Berhad is the product produced by Bonia mostly are very expensive. Next, Bonia has less publicity and marketing, even though it was a famous brand. And lastly, there are some Bonia branches that located in non-strategic location that it could cause them to falsely. The opportunities of Bonia Corporation Berhad is increasing stockholders, as the high dividend in the financial report also could attract investment from other parties. Next, adding variety of products, as Bonia has a lot of skilled and experienced employees in the fashion industry. Bonia have the opportunity to design even more products with creativity and innovation. The threats of Bonia are having a lot of competitors that could steal their customer and employ an uncountable employees that make them hard to be controlled.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nurhuda and I will present the oligopoly SWOT analysis of Shell Company. In economics, oligopoly refers to a market structure in which several large corporations dominate certain sectors through strict trading practices such as collusion and market sharing. So oil and gas is one of Malaysia's oligopoly sectors. Thus, Shell Oil Company will be analyzed in this part. Shell is one of the leading companies in the oil and gas industry in Malaysia. After occupying one of the top positions in the oil and gas industry, Royal Dutch Shell or Shell Company has established a relatively high presence in the global market. Shell is a highly technologically advanced oil and gasoline extraction and production firm. They have shown to be a super player by surviving in this harsh competitive market while performing well despite the 2020 pandemic. SWOT analysis assists in understanding the organization's benefits and drawbacks, allowing the company to eliminate the downsides. So the first strength of Shell Oil Company is market controlling position. Shell operates upstream and downstream in over 70 countries across the world. The company has interest in oil production operations in 37 countries and majority interest in 40 refineries worldwide. Next, vertical integration by engaging in the exploration and production of natural gas, crude oil, and other commodities. After that, strong research and development. Shell has several patents filed under its name and it has maintained its R&D spending. The company's first weakness of Shell Oil Company is violation of laws, as Shell has broken a few rules in recent years. Next, increasing debts. The company's debt in fiscal years 2012 was 37,774 million and climbed up to 58,379 million in fiscal year 2015. Last but not least, Shell has consistent decline in its hydrocarbon production. The hydrocarbon production totaled 3,170 barrels per day in 2008. This was 2% lower than the production in 2007 and 7% lower than in 2006. The first opportunity of Shell Oil Company is partnership with Prelude. The collaboration with Prelude for floating liquefied natural gas will provide access to difficult to develop offshore gas reserve. Next, increase in energy demand globally. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, global energy consumption is expected to more than triple in volume from 2005 to 2030. Finally, the threats faced by Shell Oil Company are climate change's concern, as Shell's business is subject to numerous laws and regulations relating to the protection of the environment and susceptible political volatility. For the last century, oil and gas have been a major source of contention between many countries.
My name is Aileen Ilona Anapau, and my matrix number is BP19110288. There are four basic elements of monopolistic competition and oligopoly that could be compared. Firstly, entry barrier. In monopolistic competition, firms are free to enter or out, while in oligopoly, it poses a barrier to entry for a new entrant into the sector. Secondly, the number of firms. Monopoly competition owns a lot of firms, while only few firms are in oligopoly. Thirdly, interdependency of firms. The decisions made by firms in this market structure are not interdependent in monopolistic competition, while each firm in the oligopoly market structure influences the others due to their large size and lack of competition. Finally, differentiate products. The product produced by monopolistic competition firms mostly are differentiated products, while oligopoly firms produce almost identical products. The COVID-19 pandemic that takes place around the world has become a big collected problem to the nation around the world. Thus, I will present the impact of COVID-19 pandemic to businesses in the monopolistic competition market structure in various sectors. Firstly, depreciation of operation in technology manufacturing. Since the COVID-19 pandemic hits globally, monopolistic competition has to face a challenge that increased its financial crisis and depreciation of operation as well. Due to the implication of closing down the production, most of consumers are unable to have an excellent gadget that is able to use for them to continue to work from home. Secondly, production shortage in market power of food retail sector. The pandemic has resulted in the production shortage in the government, particularly in the food retail sector. Consumers are unable to have their essential food because the supply chain that should be needed for daily use is unable to have them in time. Globally, the monopolistic competition market needs to face a travel restriction because the market power does not have the authority to continue a physical production. Last but not least, increased digitalization of online platforms. Surprisingly, the digitalization of technology has given a fast changing on adapt the potential of the use on online market. Ever since the pandemic impacted monopoly market, several firms such as Amazon or other online outlets experience of facing a difficulty on opening their physical store. The expectation towards a high service that valuable and easier to use can enhance the technology skills in future. Hence, the entire platform of new technology might increase the capacity of purchasing power by consumer.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Muhammad Khalish bin Ishaq and my matrix number is BB19161049. The worldwide economy has been devastated by the coronavirus pandemic, which has spread to practically every country in this world. Thus, I will present on how the COVID-19 pandemic affected the businesses in oligopoly market structure based on oil and gas industry. The first impact is demand shock. Demand shock is a surprise event that can lead to a temporary increase or decrease in demand for goods or services. Many variables influence oil demand, including economic activity, oil price, the availability and pricing of replacements, and also energy and environmental legislation. Next, fluctuation in price. An oligopoly is a market structure with few businesses and high entry barriers. Firms frequently compete fiercely as each makes decisions on price, volumes, and promotion in order to maximize profits. This COVID-19 pandemic has wreaked havoc not just on the worldwide healthcare system, but also on the global economy. During the COVID-19 pandemic, oil price dropped dramatically in April 2020. For the first time in the history, US crude futures plunged to a negative values, plummeting from $18 a barrel to negative $38. As stocks overflowed storage facilities, sending oil investors into a tailspin. Evidently, the worldwide uncertainty associated with COVID-19 outbreak has considerably influenced crude oil price dynamics. Lastly, the markups of private company. Private sector oligopolies markups provide another significant and somewhat paradoxical insight into the industrial repercussion of the pandemic. Typically, bursts lower oligopolistic markups and pure profit, resulting in significant efficiency and economic benefits that spread across the economy. These findings are due to an increase in government assistance for the firms. While small businesses are forced to close due to the pandemic, huge oligopolies weather the storm by first letting go their foreign labor and second accessing expanding government assistance. Rather than using the relief monies to enhance output, the oligopolies use them to maintain their pre-pandemic profits and markups.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Nazhan bin Namhim. Since COVID has affected our country, Shares Malaysia was dedicated to assisting the nation, particularly our frontliners, in the battle against this worldwide pandemic. Shares Malaysia first focused on the safety and health of its employers, customers, and the communities. The first resilience of Shares is supporting livelihoods. Part of their donation will be channeled through the Malaysian Red Crescent Society (MRCS) to provide food baskets, including critical food items, to about 8,000 disadvantaged households across Peninsular Malaysia, Sabah, and Sarawak. Next, sustainable support. They have been financing income generating initiative for single moms through their cooperation with MRCS, which will be made available through grants and trainings. The assistance extends to refugee income programs such as shop establishment, training, and market assistance. Since the outbreak of COVID-19, Borneo Corporation Berhad has taken swift action and measures to reorganize and mobilize its resources, including preserving cash, rescheduling its production, purchase, and expenditures, as well as manpower planning its workforce. The first resilience of Borneo is enhancement in digitalization and innovation, and create various methods of engagement with stakeholders. Borneo Group complete to its core objective of encouraging creativity and innovation, since it is critical components of being trendsetter and market leader. Overall, the digitalization of Borneo operation procedures has fostered efficiency, reduced costs, and reduced paper consumption and waste output. Secondly, risk management and internal control framework. The board recognizes its responsibility for the group risk management and internal control system, which include not only financial controls but also operational and compliance controls. The key individuals involved in the Borneo Corporation Berhad's internal audit function will provide with the required skills and knowledge to carry out their duties and obligations. To be concluded, both monopolistic competition and oligopoly market are very different to each other. Both market has specific advantage for its firms and companies, just like Shell's company and Borneo Corporation Berhad. Not to mention how COVID-19 pandemic has caused a lot of damage to business in all markets, including monopolistic competition and oligopoly market. Nevertheless, both Shell's company and Borneo Corporation Berhad has their own resilience and strategy to overcome the damage and recover from the pandemic.